Friends, first let me convey my congratulations to you on your success in the civil services examination, which is why you are gathered here in this room. I'm glad organizing इसका arrangement किया है because there is some aspects of it we must also learn now. It's a very exciting life that you're going to have. Changes are always there. Change is inevitable and it is now going to happen. I'll give you my example. When we joined service, there was no mobile phone. There was nothing of some of the fast moving. But all this has happened while I was still in service. And it brought in changes in the manner in which we transact our business. Today you have a digital economy. It's making inroads. It changes the way you interact with the society. And as Vajata Sam said, that you are a civil service, so you are going to provide a service, which means whatever you know. In your lifetime, you will have to learn new things to be able to do that. All this change, all this hard work will also create, no doubt, stress and strain. Another thing that we also tell you that you all, those who have joined IAS, IPS, they always talk about the environmental terms about the district. But that period lasts only a few years. Thereafter you have greater power, but not a direct greater power. So I have seen some of my colleagues getting into and withdrawal syndrome. So that is something which you must avoid. Because you are not there to flaunt your power. You are not there to flaunt your position. You are there to do the service. If you can get this, because it also affects your family. If you are having long hours, if you are having a right-prone district, if you are having some other department in which you are working and that department is undergoing some kind of a turmoil, so you get stressed. There is no stability. But your family, they could not understand unless you are preparing them. And it also make a conscious effort that you retain that link. So this is where I think we have a problem, because most of us, and I include myself in that, when we were in service, we dedicated ourselves to whatever we were doing, and the family looked after themselves. Some family coped, some family did not cope. And this is what I would like to caution you, that it is important that in your journey, in your career, takes along your family. There are certain elements enter this. Okay. That is when you are dealing with people in the district or even when you are in secretariat office. You have to display a kind of behavior pattern that becomes an example also for your family, not for your only unit office. Because you replicate that without your knowing, because you will have to be carrying home a lot of work, you will be compulsively behaving at times. I'm talking about the majority under the stress system that has affected. So all this affects the family, and the family is unaware of your situation fully. So you need to retain that you have your link, that rope to safety is through the family. So that is something which you probably will find it not very important now, because you are all very young. But later you will find that this safety rope is where you come and express your anxiety, where you can confide, which you may not be able to confide in others. So this is where you invest your emotional capital right from the beginning. The family does not necessarily always mean wife and children, it could mean parents, it could mean this. So whatever is your family, that is what happens that when you get a success, your family is the most happy unit. And if it so happens that in service, you gradually drift away from the rest of your family, then they are probably the most unhappy people. And unless you remember that, you are actually degrading your emotional quality. So this is something which you understand. This doesn't come in any handbook for becoming a good officer. But if you want to be a good gentleman, like they say earlier, they used to say earlier, he's an officer and a gentleman, mostly in the army of course, but that should actually be applicable also to the civil service. So I would urge all of you to keep this in mind. It's not, don't treat this as a udesh. This is something which I am telling you from my heart, because we have faced severe crisis, and when severe crisis happens, then you have only few people you can trust and open your heart to. So those moments you can handle only if you are taking care of your family. Secondly, as rightly was mentioned, that your service, no matter which service you are going, most of us fall prey to the tendency of flaunting our power. So please remember that your power is for a limited period. You come back to the same thing for your once your term as an officer is over. And many of the other problems also in your jurisdictions, you will find you will be able to resolve if you have maintained a very humane relationship with the people you deal. I have found myself, as you know, I'm a police officer and I was in intelligence. I have also been doing some kind of conflict resolution in Northeast. I have found that listening is ability to listen to your interlocutor in front is something will give you much better results. If you get a person very angry, get a group which is very angry, you allow them to speak. They may not talk in good language, they may not use parliamentary language, but you ignore that. If you are in a situation where you have to do some conflict resolution of some kind, you will find that they lose their steam after some time. Then is the time when you can talk to them. That you were talking about that problem, and we look at it this way. There is chance that you will make much greater also the kind of language that you say. You cannot possibly use languages or words that hurt the person. Another thing you must remember that I don't know where you all get posted. Most part of India is still rural. And urban area is still limited. So when you go there, you are a big man. So they expect the behavioral pattern of a great man. You're a big man, but they expect that behavior of a great man. How to display that? You will have this. I know of an officer in Bihar. When he was transferred, the district went on a voluntary hartal. He didn't ask them. It was a voluntary. Because he was good, he was efficient, he was honest. It doesn't take long or much to get the people on your side. It needs your willingness to work hard for them. But if in every interaction with those who are in your charge, if every interaction with them, you expect something in return, then that becomes a transaction that becomes also, in a way, commercial, even though the commerce may not be of an actual money. These are the factors you must remember. You may go to states where the language will be different from the one you are there. If you learn the language well and try and display a genuine effort to speak the language, the local people will learn. But if you flaunt the other behavior, when you say this language is very difficult, I can't learn. That language is other person's own language. So these are the very small things that you must keep in mind. Otherwise, you will have to resolve some of the problems in a very hard way. Unfortunately, we see that there is today a very large number of recents are coming from home. And that is because of the various kinds of stress that has come in the society. Sometimes economical, sometimes other social stress. And that gives them on the edge. You are there to manage. And I see that you are ultimately a manager who is supposed to get what to sort of implement what the government wants you to implement, deliver it on the ground to the people they want delivered. How do you do it? You must understand those people. You can't depend on a sort of intermediate for long, because he may not be repeating back to you the crucial part of the, and he will never be able to translate to you the inflections in his language, which if you know the language, you will be able to understand that this is anger entering the discourse. And then you can take a step back. I'm talking of where the language that you are familiar with and the language that the people are. But this can happen oftener than you expect. Some experiences of field clearly indicates that many incidents, descents, have deteriorated into very serious law and order situations or complicated situations because the initial handling was found wanting. So you, when you go back to your training stages, you please try and see this training is not without meaning. The training is about you get used to the people that you are supposed to serve. And if you cannot reach that understanding and balance with what you are expected to do, and if you think everything will happen because you are an officer, you will give an order. So I think you are going for a rude shot. I don't want to spread this thing, but I would emphasize that you please remember that it's a service. Please remember you have a lot to learn, and also you have a role in ensuring that your behavior does not add to the crime. I think I have spoken enough. Thank you very much, and I wish you all very, very